Let my cry come near before thee. Teach me of thy word. May my supplication find thee. Teach me of thy word. Let my lips utter thy praise. For thy law is here before me. Keep thy hand ready to help me. I've chosen thy word. I long for thy salvation. My delight is in thy word. Let my soul live, and it shall praise thee. Let thine ordinances save me. I've gone astray. Oh, Yah, please find me and teach me of thy word.
My name is Cohen Mikhael Ben Levi of the Hebrew family of Guyana. The aim of these dissertations is to cause the true house of Israel, who have been without knowledge of themselves for countless generations, and who are now being awakened by the God of the universe, to better serve our Creator. It is our hope that by reacquainting this awakening black nation with their laws and former history, it will hasten our return to our true identity, thereby acknowledging our ancient ancestors. This in turn will allow us to know our Father's God and prepare us to stand together to meet the terrible day of the Creator that He is now readying for all mankind. May He cause all your minds and hearts to understand. Today I want to continue with a important lesson in understanding the Bible. As we have previously spoken about, that we had three important premises upon which we felt it was important to share truth concerning. And that is one, who is the real and true living God? And that is the creator of heaven and earth in the Bible. Another important thing is to understand his people. That's coming up later. We started out with speaking about the creator as the author of the greatest book ever written, and that is the Torah itself given to Moses on Mount Sinai. Strangely enough, by the hand of the creator, this day of Yom Teruah and the season that comes with the month of Itanim is also about the law, because we've been told that the law has been done away with. Then why are Jewish people announcing, and the media is announcing, about Yom Teruah, called the Jewish Day of Blowing of the Horn or the Jewish New Year? Why are they preparing for Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, if the law is done away with? Why are Jews also going to be setting up on Eastern Parkway in the land of Israel, and Eastern Parkway is in Brooklyn, New York, if you don't know. There'll be those booths, temporary dwelling places on their verandas, terraces, in their homes, in their temples, all around the world. If the law is done away with, why are the Jews still doing the laws that are in the Bible? And how could it be done away with or abolished if Jews have been keeping the laws that Yah gave to Moses on Mount Sinai for centuries? Centuries after we, the true Israelites, were sent into slavery or into captivity. A very important point. The greatest book of all, taking us back to the Torah, because that's how we're being judged. We all, I am, you are, and all people around the world are being judged by the Torah. It's the everlasting covenant, the everlasting constitution for the entire earth. We have to understand that. The Creator wrote the Constitution for mankind. It wasn't written by human beings. It didn't come down through a flesh genealogy. The Torah came down from heaven and was given to us. And it was done such a miraculous spiritual way that it's important for us to understand. And those who heard the Sidra today and the portion for Yom Teruah, this is a continuation, as I said. It just so happened I didn't plan for this day of teaching the fact that the law has never been abolished and done away with would fall on the Shabbat day and on Yom Teruah and on a new moon. I had no idea. In fact, I just placed it here, and it turned out with the interruptive weeks that we had weeks of interruption where we couldn't do our program, and it just, by the hand of Yah, happens to be today. And so, once again, we know that it's the teaching of the law and the holy season in our communities. And I think we have some footage that might announce, and at this time we can't put it up, but you've probably heard it. If you listen to ABC News, NBC, CBS, or what have you, someone came on and told you that the Jewish New Year was beginning, and that in a few days they'll be telling you about the Jewish Yom Kippur. Well, it's not a Jewish Yom Kippur. Anyone that's listening that is not aware of these facts. My message is to all mankind, the humanity on the earth. Because the laws of Yah is the means by which every human being is judged. If you're a murderer and you have committed murder and you're in any people before the Creator, you have sinned and you are guilty. If you've stolen anything and the police didn't catch you, no one saw you, you are guilty before the Creator, and you have committed what is known as a katat. So now we're just going to go to that footage that'll just let you know what I'm saying is true. They're announcing all over the world about the Jewish New Year and all of their preparation for our season, modified in a religion. Let's listen and watch.
The Jewish high holidays begin tonight with Rosh Hashanah at sundown. CBS 2's Kieran Dillon joins us live with more on how people will be observing this year. Kieran.
Mary, the Jewish New Year will look quite different this year because of the coronavirus pandemic. So many people we've spoken to today say the spirit of the traditions will not be lost. Friday at sundown, the Jewish New Year, also known as Rosh Hashanah, officially begins. The next 10 days mark a time of reflection and repentance.
People look back over the course of the year to think about how they have responded to the needs of the wider community. They think back to consider how they have treated those closest to them, their friends, their colleagues, their loved ones. And they think back and consider how they've treated themselves.
Usually observers will gather for prayer during the weekend and take part in a family dinner. Many will also participate in the Jewish tradition of eating apples dipped in honey to symbolize a sweet start to the new year. But this year, the COVID-19 pandemic means some in-person gatherings will be limited to outdoor settings for people to properly socially distance. Many services will also be virtual.
Many synagogues, ours included, are obviously offering worship services online. And we believe that, in fact, there'll be more people participating online tonight.
You get the message. That's not the only station that recorded and broadcast that false, fake news. I want you to know that it's not a Jewish New Year. It's an Israelite holy season that is coming. Notice, even though you saw the rabbi blowing the shofar, you heard not one word about Yom Teruah. It was never mentioned. Yom Teruah, the day of the blowing of the horn. Their message sound more like Yom Kippur message. They're already getting ready for it, but they're not the people. And I want you to know, I'm just making the distinction between we, the Israelites, and the Jewish people. And I'm not doing it and have no intention of doing it in a disrespectful manner. I'm saying to you, I hope modified in some way, every people on earth will do what the Jewish people are doing, keeping the holy days that are in the Bible, because that will be a beautiful thing in honoring as a humanity the maker of heaven and earth. So again, our message is one of truth, making that significant difference between Israelites and Jews. I want to say this before we put on our clip concerning the law, a tape with footage that's been pre-recorded, and I'll come back on and speak about the contents of that message dealing with the law. It's really the introduction to this section in the series that we've been doing. And so I will be introducing this section, and we have probably two others that will come up, part 2 and 3, dealing with the law alone. And then we'll probably have 3 parts dealing with who are the true people of the Bible. Today, our introduction is to the idea that we are dealing with. Is the law done away with? Has the law of the Creator been abolished? And let me first make this statement. It's a definition of bastardized. A bastard, in its definition, they say is a person born of parents not married to each other. Therefore, the child is illegitimate, and therefore the child is not to be accepted as a child with parents that were married before he was born. That's their definition. Their definition also of bastard, according to Webster's dictionary, is it's anything that's bastardized is a counterfeit. It's inferior. I don't think that's true about a child that's born and their parents are not married. That child is not inferior to any other child. It just means that their parents were not married. In Guyana, they passed a law, I remember President Burnham did in Guyana, saying that a child born out of wedlock have the same rights as a child, because in some countries in our captivity, what the colonial slave masters did was what they did is they punished us, and we suffer more when a child is not from 2 married parents. So Burnham, a wise president during colonial times, said, no, I'm changing that. That's working against our people, and it's not fair to the child, A bastard, a person born of parents not married to each other, illegitimate child. They call it, the child's even a counterfeit. And they say that child is inferior. Next definition, bastardized means corrupt. So anything that's bastardized is corrupt. So I would say that if the Bible has been translated and is bastardized, then the New Testament has to be corrupt, or the King James translation has to be a misuse of the original and it's varying from the standard. The standard is the Old Testament, the Torah, the Tanakh. It's the precedent. It sets down what is true and right for anything that follows. Everything that follows that is changed is a counterfeit. It's inferior to the Torah. If you read the Bible in English, you're reading an inferior version of the Hebrew Tanakh. It was never written originally in English or any other language. It was translated to those languages. Those language, just merely by the translation, not necessarily, even though some have done it by deliberate deception, made counterfeit, corrupt interpretations. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's truth-centered, someone that knows the Hebrew language. Another fact as we go into the tape. I once was listening to a Jeopardy program. I'm a lover of Jeopardy. The reason why I love Jeopardy because I learn about what I don't know. Anybody who really thinks they're smart, you're wise, you know a lot, listen to Jeopardy. There are so many questions in so many different areas that you'll know and realize, hey, it's a good place to learn. So once on a Jeopardy program, they had a question that said to the three contestants, which religious members are least knowledgeable about their religion? I'll give you 3 seconds to think. Which who you think? Let's give some Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism. Who do you think know the least about the religion that they proclaim to practice? And the answer in Jeopardy was Christianity. Christianity and Christian members, says Jeopardy and those people who set up those questions, they said, after we did our survey, we found out that the Christians know the least about their Christian religion than anybody else. In fact, I want to make this statement, that Christianity is responsible for the mass confusion on the planet, more than any other religion, because it spread its religion all over the world, and it did several things to make the Bible be misunderstood. What did Christianity do? First of all, we have to know why we're saying that. Why would I say Christianity is responsible for confusion about the Bible on earth? Why? Here's why. Christianity changed God's name, the Creator's name. That's the one. They named him Lord. They took Jehovah's Zevaot may translate to God. They even got men names. A lot of gods that are men are called and said to be God. So therefore they messed up that. They also, in doing that, changed the Creator from a spirit in the greatest book of all time, in his book, and made him flesh and a man in their book, the Greek writings. Sin number one. There's 3 of them. Sin number 2. And interfering with the law and confusing the planet. Christianity changed Israel and African people to Jews or European people. Sin number 2. The people on the earth do not know who the true Israelites are. With this program, I'm hoping you'll get to know that and get to know the true name of God, that he's the creator that made heaven and earth. He's also called the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In the book, he said, this is my memorial. I didn't make it up. None of my words are my own. They're only reiterating your Bible, my Bible, the truth that's in it. 2 things. They changed God from man, from spirit to man. They changed Israel from an African people to a European people. And they tried to change or tried to abolish the law, which I'm proving they never did. They couldn't abolish the Creator's law through a religion called Christianity. Now people would rather be more religious and be a Christian, and they'll tell you, the Christians, I've met so many I can't count them. That law is old time. That was the old way. That way's long done away with. Them laws is too outdated. They can't fit now. That's why we have homosexuals and lesbians, because by law, Christianity allows things to be done that the laws of the Creator don't allow you to do. Now, that's a terrible thing that they've done. Got people going against the Almighty, doing some of the very things that he said in the law you cannot do. They made them permissible in Christianity and in the church. And I don't even want to get into them pedophiles that are so-called men of God with that so-called, that collar, men of the cloth, they call them, raping little boys and girls. Jehovah's showing all of that because he said I would disclose the blood. I'm not going to let them cover up and hide their sin no more. When I start to wake you up and show the truth, I'm going to reveal the evil that's going on that's been hidden for hundreds of years. In the Catholic Church, they got nuns that had babies that are buried inside of the church. I didn't make it up. I read these things. They've been recorded since I was a little boy. Don't blame others. I don't blame the Christians. I'm just telling the truth, but I'm not blaming you. Hey, the Most High told us, you will be a byword and a proverb. You're going to serve gods of wood and stone. It had to happen. It was fulfillment of prophecy. We're just telling you that's what happened. In other words, don't deny that you sent the colonial, and during colonial times, you sent the missionaries in to Christianize the slaves. That's how we became Christians. I'm a historian. I studied history. I taught history in the West Indies. That's what the first book I got said, that the missionaries came in and Christianized the slaves. In America, you don't get that history like they do in the West Indies, they don't learn American history. That's why I love teaching history here, because I could teach the children American history, African history, Israelite history. I could teach Chinese history and West Indian history. That's why the children who were in my class, some of them in my temple right now, because they said he told us we was an Israelite when he was teaching us and I was in high school. We got a 40-something-year-old brother here right in our community, and everybody knows who I'm talking about because I told all my students who they were. I don't think that a child, as an educator, any child should graduate an educational institution and learn so much and don't learn about who they are. That's just absurd to tell me somebody's educated, they don't even know their language, their culture, their history, nothing about their way of life. No, you ain't educated. You were educated for somebody. You've been miseducated. See, in China, every Chinese knows he's Chinese and learn everything about China through the China Institution of Education. It's an institution. Every Russian learns the institution through its institution of education, everything about Russian society, the language, the history, the culture. And really, you the only one. That's what we're trying to restore. That's what Cohane Levy did when he set up a priesthood of teaching priests to restore back the institution of education. We had a dedication to the Creator. That was our education. It was a dedication. Hear what I said. Dedicated through knowledge to the Most High. That's why a person who wasn't dedicated and educated to know him, we call him a goyim. They were a heathen. Anybody that didn't know the Creator that made heaven and earth, that made you, whoever you are in any nation, this is to humanity. He said that you were void of a certain knowledge that's fundamental, that he's your power, your maker, your doctor, your lawyer, your keeper, provider, maintainer, sustainer. You missed that, you're ignorant as a human being. You're dead from the neck up. That's Hebraic thought. You got to know what Hebraic thought is about. We think in English. I'm speaking to you with a Hebrew thought mind. Because I think in Hebrew because I speak Hebrew. You can't think that way unless you get to be fluent. I prayed to the Creator to give me this language. When I came in the law on my knees on 539 Belmont Avenue, I knew I could never be complete until I could pray the Creator in Hebrew without saying an English word. Now you're going to be like your forefathers. They didn't pray in English. They didn't think in English. They thought with an Ivrit mind. Notice I said Ivrit. That's what they call Hebrew. It ain't called Hebrew. I'm just using that like I use God in other words because that's the level you understand. And when you get to this level, hopefully by us teaching and helping, you know that Hebrew is really called in the original language Ivrit. A man is an Ivri. A woman, Hebrew, is an Ivriya or Ivrit, like the language. I'm telling you. The Bible history indicates and shows that we so-called black folk or blacks, so-called, that's not who we are the descendants of Israelites who broke the covenant between us and the Creator. I want to tell you something about this word covenant, and I'm going to put on the tape in just a moment. There are several words that you're going to hear throughout this segment of teaching, and it's important that you understand what I'm about to say. I said, we broke and we are guilty of sins against the Most High. All of us who came under slavery, under colonization. If you were colonized in Africa, colonized in the West Indies, colonized in North America, you are the person to whom the Bible is speaking. And here's several words that you're going to hear that all relate and refer to the law. Even though there are maybe almost 9 or 10 different phrases, every one of them is speaking about one thing, the Torah. Hear those phrases that I'm speaking about. One, the law. That's the original one, Torah. Instructions, also Torah. Whenever you hear the word instructions in the Bible, in the Old Testament, in the Torah, it's referring back to the law. Usually, when it speaks about instructions and things, it'll be other books referring back to it. And here's another book, another word that means Torah, testimony. Testimony is talking about the law, whenever you see that. Ordained precepts, talking about the law. All of these words are found in the longest psalm in the whole book of Tehillim or the Psalms, the 119th Psalm. Every one of these terms is throughout that psalm. You read it from Aleph to Tau, and you'll see that these pair different ways, always referring back to the Torah. Another thing the Torah is called is thy word, still the Torah. Even though he didn't say Torah, he said thy word. What word? The one Yah gave to Moses on Mount Sinai. Another term, thy statutes. It's talking about the Torah. All of these words are synonymous with the Torah. The covenant. Covenant is the Torah. That's what the agreement between us, the Israelites, and the Creator was. I'll be your help, your power, your God, your doctor, your lawyer, your everything, if you be my righteous people that'll keep my law. That's why we're in captivity. We broke the agreement, not the Creator. Commandments, the Torah. Even though all the Torah is not commandments, some of it's judgments. Some of the Torah has to do with other things than just the commandments. You got offerings. They all commandments. That's what he's trying to tell you. Just like in the government, let's say in Guyana or in America, when they tell you stop at a green light, you know that's not what they said. They said you go at a green light and you stop at a red light. It's a commandment. You go through that light that's green and the police will pull you over if he sees you because you broke the commandment, thou shalt not run the green light. Now, you could call it whatever you want. That's a law. And you are demanded and commanded to do it. And you got to understand that the same thing about the Torah. He don't have to tell you his commandment. I told you that already. Don't you be stupid. I told you all the words. He said, I told you my law, instructions, testimony, word, statutes, covenant, commandment, even my path, my ways. Walk in his ways. What is he talking about? walk in the Torah. The Torah is called halakha, the righteous path. Thy righteous judgments, mishpatim. I'll kill you if you commit adultery. I'm commanding you and I'm warning you and I'm telling you. The penalty for adultery is death. The penalty for murder is death. And I will carry it out. My judgment, I have the power. See, because you can have a judgment, but if you ain't got the power to enforce it, the creator can enforce everything. I don't care if you're the king. You could be the general over the strongest army in the world. Even judges die because there's a judge of judges. The Most High is the judge of everybody. Even the judge that sit on the bench, he's being judged. One of them just was sick in the hospital on the Supreme Court. Who you think put that judgment on? And she got better. He recovered her. And I know if she's a person of good mind, she's thanking God that he healed and allowed her to still be a judge. It's common sense what I'm talking about. Your mother can't help you when God says, I'm taking you. Your father can't do nothing. The armies can't help you. He says, none can deliver out of my hand in Deuteronomy. See, Cohen taught me something and I'll never forget. He said he was a walking Tanakh. That's what I would consider myself, a walking Tanakh. I don't need the book. I can go anywhere I want it. It's in here. That's why you got to stay in it day and night. You know where the precepts are, and that's how you get some. Anything you do, it's called bishananta. In Hebrew, that means repetition. See, repetition, any book that I have behind me, I read it over and over and over again. Anyone who gets good at anything, they always know that the perfection comes with repetition. It's the repetition study of the Torah that make you know it and know it without looking at it. You can explain any chapter because you know what it says already. You done read it so many times. Last but not least, I want to say as we go to our footage that the Constitution is the highest law in any land. I don't care whatever laws, let's say you have the mayor or the law of New York, it don't go over the United States Constitution. The governor's laws or the state laws or the city laws, Constitution of the land takes precedence over all of that. Our Constitution followed us into captivity. You were being judged by the Torah, Israelites, even in the captivity. He's determining who he's going to save alive and who he's going to destroy by the law, by how you're living righteously or unrighteously wherever you are. Because he said, if you do all this law, I will count it unto you for righteousness. Are you doing all the law? Which one have you put away? So we're going to close out at this section and we're going into our footage. Listen carefully, digest, comprehend. Today, I would like to emphasize how important it is to understand the Bible with those three concepts. And if you miss any of them, I guarantee you will not really understand the Bible. What are those three things? One, the importance of the Bible and what's in it, the name of the Creator. Because if there's a God in the Bible, then you have to know which God that is and understand Him as He has taught us about Himself. Because nobody really knows other than what the Creator's taught us. Nobody really knows God, have ever seen Him. The other topic, of course, brings us now to the law, and is the law done away with? And then, of course, our third topic, which we'll be speaking of in our next presentation, will deal with the people. These three topics, I hope they will be covered so thoroughly that there will be no doubt in anyone's mind as to whether it is truth. This is a truth centered teaching. It's based on the truth of the Bible, a truth that hopefully you can verify with your investigation, research, and search into the Bible. For those who are Bible students and scholars, you will find what I'm saying very acceptable because you already have verified it, and it will be verified again and substantiated through these deliberations. Even before men could write, the laws and customs of each community were passed down from one generation to the next by the older members of the group. Later, some of the laws were written down. And this point is very important that the law began with an unwritten law. And over time, the unwritten law became actually a written law. And we'll see which law I'm speaking about because it can't be the laws of men existing before they were written down. But let's move on. One of the laws of ancient times is known as the Code of Hammurabi. Hammurabi was a Babylonian ruler in the 17th century BC. This tablet, known as the Code of Hammurabi, was actually discovered in the 1900s. It established punishments for crimes and deals in general with topics such as business dealings, inheritance, family, agriculture, and fees for various services long after Hammurabi's death. In fact, that Hammurabi code was a code that many thought at one time was a code of laws that maybe the Torah copied from. Some people have even suggested that the Torah came from the Ma'at or the Egyptian law, and all of this will be proven to be false as we go through our studies and investigation. The law of Moses, which again has a connection with a name, that name is Yahweh. About 12,000 BC, Moses, a Hebrew African, gave the world commandments stating principles of the Torah. The behavior of conduct that has long been recognized as good, stated and found in one form or another everywhere during history, all ages, and even in all ages of history. What do we mean here? We're trying to say that this law that Moses brought can be found in the laws of people all around the world today. And we are going to show, as we present this information and these facts, that the law has never been done away with. In fact, it can't be done away with. It's eternal law. And as one of the statements said earlier, all law has been passed down from one generation to another. No generation has ever been born and then started laws right then from babies or adults up. No, they inherited from the previous generation. It's been passed down. Sometimes men have added to the Constitution or to the laws of other generations. They have enactments like statutes and things like that, amendments to the Constitution. But they were here before the new generation arrived. They inherited the laws of the past. Law, or the law of ancient Greeks. All government activities were regulated by law. Even the word municipal, we inherited from the Greeks. The word senate, that is a Greek word from their government and from their dealings. And so we must understand how we arrived at even terms that we use today in what we might call American law or Western law. Law in ancient Rome, they inherited from the Greeks. Some of the very rules. The Romans developed law much beyond the Greeks. They added to it. Roman law was more complete. If you study Greek and Roman law was much more complete. The law of the 12 tables, it was known as the law of medieval Europe. That's how Europeans, nations, got many of their laws from the Roman and the Greek constitutions, the laws that existed before England and France and Germany and those nations that we know today. The influence of Roman law declined after the fall of Rome, and in much of Europe, it presented again a new shape and a new form. The systems of court in which such rules are referred to in defining one's rights, securing justice, is what the idea of law is all about. It's a system which has courts so that you can go to and again defend one's rights. And we'll be speaking about different types of laws as we go through this presentation. There are several words that we are going to find in the Torah that describes the law, because we're speaking with different law. And one of these terms is testimony, which is a witness, a declaration or a statement to establish a fact, an affirmation. It's a proof. And in the Bible, you'll find the word testimony in places like Exodus, the tables of the law, and there are other places where you'll hear this word testimony. But whenever you hear that word testimony, you must know that it's talking about the Torah. Another word, the word. Also, whenever you read the Bible and you see the word, it's talking about the Torah, his word, or the truth. The covenant is another word synonymous with the law, with the word, with the testimony. The precepts of Yahweh, the Creator, they're also defined as commandments. So whenever you read it in the Bible and you see the word commandment or testimony or the word or the law, you know it's referring back to the Torah. All of this is part of the Torah, the commandments. All of these terms define collectively the commandments, which are law-abiding, and it's a law book known as the Torah. And of course, in any society, you can have law breakers. That's why you have courts and systems that deal with these ideas. There's a lawgiver. In our case, the Creator was the lawgiver. He gave it to Moses, and he gave him a law that was complete. Many other nations have to add to their law. Our Constitution, which came from the Creator and Maker of heaven and earth, when I say our, we're talking about the children of Israel, the people that were chosen by the Creator that came up out of Egypt. Their law only can have amendments and have what we call statutes enacted to it by the Creator himself. He tells us in the Torah, in the law, in the Constitution, in the covenant, that we are to add nothing nor take anything away from the law. Our subject is the law. Is the law done away with? That's the question. It's a legitimate question because we've been hearing that most of us all of our lives. Those of us especially that are associated, have ever been in contact with Christian teachings. And one thing about Christian teachings, we can all be rest assured. Christian teachings has influenced everyone on the planet. And of course, we have the term lawmaker. Of course, we have law courts. And of course, lawlessness. And lawless is a society that does not have law. And we know no society can exist without law. Not even a family, in a home, in a community, in a group, in traffic. How can you have people walking down the street without laws and who can cross in the red light? You got to have laws. That's what governs human behavior. Law is extremely important. It cannot be done away with. And that's why we're examining the question Is the law done away with? And we have to ask the question, which law has been done away with? Uh, English law, German law, Russian law, they threw their constitution out. We're all aware that people are trying to tell us that the laws of Almighty God, the creator and maker of heaven and earth, have been done away with. This will be proven to be false today. If you follow the evidence, you will see that the laws of the Creator have never been done away with. In fact, they're in the constitutions of most countries around the world today. In fact, I'll mention it now, but I'll mention later. Jewish people have been keeping the laws of the Torah for centuries. Before the Jewish people, there were other communities of Israel. Also, it's known that David put the Edomites under the laws. The Edomites were doing the laws, and they were passed on to other countries and communities over a period of time. Those same laws called Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Yom Kippur, you, the news media, announce every year saying falsely the Jewish Passover. It's not a Jewish Passover, it's called Yahweh's Passover. It's the holy days of the children of Israel. And so I'm just merely making the point that other people have been keeping these laws, they've never been done away with. Even though Israel went into slavery or captivity, the law remained intact. It just means that their constitution ceased to exist in terms of the Israelites themselves following those principles. It wasn't done away with. Israel went into captivity. Anyone who investigates will see that it's true. Find a passage anywhere from Genesis to the book of Malachi. Go through Chronicles and find out anywhere where the Creator says, I have abolished my law. You can do whatever you want now. I have done away with my law. You no longer have to honor your father and mother. You can commit adultery now. You can steal and lie and cheat. Everybody knows Creator would never do away with those very important principles. And we will show you that it is absolutely true that the Creator's laws are eternal. Yahweh, the Creator, He is God. We've proven that, and we have precepts that have shown that from previous presentations, that He has a name in the Bible. I'm not speaking about in any other book. In the Bible, from Genesis to the last book in the Bible, there's only one word and name that refers to God, and it's the name Yahweh. Anybody can prove it. It's spelled Yod-Hey, Waw-Hey. Never is there any prophet that changes that name and uses another name and comes in the name of another God. That was forbidden. Every prophet came in the name of the Creator, and they tried to tell Israel, if you read the Bible and you're a scholar, go back to the law, Israel. Do not violate the law. This translation of Jehovah in some books, commonly translated Jehovah, is the same name that is Yahweh. The only difference is that in Hebrew there is no J. And so those that translated the word Yahweh, they came with Jehovah, not understanding there was no letter J, and there is no letter J in the Hebrew letter. Whose law? The Creator's law that He gave to Moses on Mount Sinai. The Muslims call him Musa in the Islamic world. The laws of the Creator, are they abolished? Absolutely no, they are not. European Jews have been keeping these laws, as I said, all of the holy days. They eat what they call a kosher diet. Ask any Jew, and I hope they're listening. This is not offensive. This is just presenting facts that are true. And that's how they can be verified. Jews have kosher butcher shops that they go to, and they slaughter their meat and they eat it according to the Torah, dietary laws. They also don't have swine in a kosher butcher shop because it's against the law. They don't have things in there. And I would like to make this point. There are things like duck that the Jewish people may eat, but Israelites cannot eat it because we have to go strictly by the Torah. Jews modify many of the teachings so they don't go strictly by the Torah, although most of the Torah they keep the laws of the Torah. However, they are not the people to whom the Torah was given. That's extremely important. We go on in our understanding of this topic in our search. Law, and as an English word, its root comes from the Norse people, uh, Norse of the Anglo-Saxons. And of course, this word law uh, deals with all the rules of conduct that have been established and enforced by authority. Law has to be enforced. It's also legislation. Someone has to make the laws. That's why we call them lawmakers, legislators. Usually, when you have a Congress in a country, they are the lawmakers. In the United States of America, that's known as the House of Representatives and the Senate. And of course, from the House of Representatives, by law, by based on the number of people in a state, the population, you determine how many state representatives are in the Congress. However, to make it fair, if you study the Constitution of the United States, it was important that the states wanted to make sure that on one level, larger states had proper representation than smaller states, and at the same time, two senators represented every state, and that's the body that is the highest body in what we know as the Congress. Congress is also a Greek term. They had a Congress. So that was passed down. We didn't invent, the Americans and the British didn't invent a new law. They looked back at British law. They looked back at, at Roman law, at Greek law, and that's how their constitutions were formed. So again, in British law, are there any Torah laws? Absolutely. The Torah is found in American law, laws of inheritance. We'll get into many of those things and even speak about the kinds of laws to show you that nowhere can Torah ever be called a religion. Nowhere ever can the Hebrew Israelite way of life be called a religion like Judaism. We never had a term in our culture. You can read the Bible and you never see Judaism from one end to the other. It was a man-made religion, just like Christianity, just like Hinduism. They're all man-made religions. Nobody disputes it. However, the Torah is a law that came directly from Almighty Yah, and every Christian and every Muslim verifies this, that Moses went up on Mount Sinai, and that's where he received the law from the maker of heaven and earth through a divine revelation. It's known. In fact, all of Western society, what is known as the Judaic Christian society, is based on the Bible. So I'm just repeating what they already hold fast to as being truth, because they are called Judaic Christian or Christian Judaic societies. Any one of such of these rules of the Torah or any constitution, body of rules, any such book or existence of these rules in general, they have judgments, they establish law and order, and by judgments mean they have to have someone who upholds their authority, enforces the punishment. Because if they violate the law, there has to be within that system. That's why we go to court. That's why a judge gives a sentence or judgment. And that lets you know that you're not talking about religion, because religion do not judge. If a Christian church were to put a man to death because he violated another man's wife in the church, and the preacher or the priest or the pastor judge that case and put that man to death, that preacher in that church will end up in the courts of that country, because they have no right as a religious body to usurp the power of the government. And so, religions can never ever be associated with a constitution and a people that have a constitution. So, the people of Israel were not a religion. They were a people under a constitution, and the Torah is that constitution, and it's never been done away with. Israelites, in many places in countries around the world, African countries, have sometimes been under colonial slavery, but they've kept the laws in Nigeria. They still do circumcisions in Ghana and Nigeria and South Africa. I've been there and seen the young men go into the field with their bamboos on their shoulder and the elders behind them, and they're going to set up a hut. We're going to do all those young men that are walking in a line, they're going to be circumcised. They've been doing that for thousands of years. Hasn't been done away with. Circumcision never stopped. We've been doing it all in the United States, communities all in the West Indies. The Rastafarians take bamboo and circumcise their young men. It says on the left anywhere. Someone has deceived the people on this earth. And that's why this time of truth is so important and so necessary. At this point, I would like us to just interview or ask a few questions. Who has changed the Creator's law? That's a good question. Who it is that has the authority and was given the authority by the Creator and Maker of heaven and earth at any time to abolish His law, to abolish His covenant, to destroy His constitution, to throw away His commandments and His judgments, which are the penalties for adultery, for murder, thou shalt not murder. Why do countries have it on their books, and I don't know a country, I would not want to visit that country, that didn't have a law against murder? So therefore, these laws have never been done away with. Who taught the Creator right from wrong to determine the judgments? What was fair? What was unfair? The question is, no one is ever taught. No one can teach the Creator. He is the supreme intelligence of the universe. Who could teach God, as we say? No one. Who could tell Him what's right and wrong? He's the one who established it, and He's never going to abdicate that authority to anyone else, that power. You have to understand that. It's the thread of truth that runs throughout the Bible and throughout especially the Holy Scriptures. To Hebrews, there's no such thing as a Bible. See, if you study history, someone took the New Testament and made one book called the Bible. That's why they have a word called the Bible, because it means many books. And it's actually the New Testament attached to the Old. But if you go back before the New Testament was concocted by men, the only book of God that existed was the Holy Scriptures called the Torah, the Tanakh, which contains the Torah. That is the Torah, the prophets, the Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim, the Psalms, the Proverbs, the book of Job, Ecclesiastes, Ruth. Those are considered all parts of the Bible, of the Hebrew book. We don't call it the Bible, the Tanakh or the Holy Scriptures. And you must realize that that book alone is the book of Hebrews. Even Jews do not read the New Testament in their synagogues. In a Hebrew temple, the Torah is strictly, even though in Judaism and in the Hebrew way of life, they call Messianic Hebrews, they read the New Testament. Most Israelites reject it. Jews for Jesus, they're Jews, but the Orthodox Jews reject that teaching. So we want you to understand these are facts and truth. Many people don't know these detailed facts about this subject we call law, and we're bringing in all the different peoples in the earth and trying to show how this is a global understanding. We're not talking about just one little group of people. Law has been what has governed all societies of men everywhere. I'm sure even the little pygmies got pygmy laws. The Watusis and the Philistines had laws for giants. Everybody, people, that's what keeps the harmony, the peace, and allows for the respect of the human rights. See, when they tell you the law has been done away with, they're really doing away with human rights. Every person has a human right to know who they are, to know their culture. When they took the culture from the Afro Americans and the people that went into slavery via Africa from Ghana, we must understand that's what they did. They took your human rights away. You cannot deny a people the truth about who they are. That's what is the core and the center of the problem why black lives don't matter to them. Black lives don't matter to them because black is not a person. Black is not anybody. That's an adjective. But if they had to say an Israelite, a child of God, a Hebrew, and knew that all black people were Hebrews, and if we were righteous, they would never ever be killing us in the streets. We are living, as I've said in previous presentations, we're living out of character. And the punishment that we're receiving is a result of living out of character. If you were a decent, upright person and you became a criminal, how would the police treat you? Like an upright person or a criminal? We're being treated like criminals. And part of it is our fault. Don't be in denial. We're talking about truth today. Present day laws around the world have been founded and passed down as laws from one generation to another. And I've said that before, and that's what we have to keep it in mind. Do not any longer keep thinking that laws of God have been done away with, and we are not finished with the presentation. Just continue to see, do the facts add up to the truth? Because truth determines is determined by facts. I'm trying to give you facts so that you can understand, you can know. And I want to repeat our Levitical presentations statement. This is to Africans in particular, but mankind as a whole. Why to Africans in particular? Because this is their heritage knowledge that for countless generations people have had a conspiracy and hid this truth from us. And that's why we're destroyed, as the Bible says. We're destroyed for the lack of knowledge, the right knowledge, the knowledge of who we are, the knowledge of how we're supposed to live, of our values and our forefathers' values and morals and integrity and country and virtues of our women. That's what black people have had destroyed. And when they go back to the Torah, they get it back automatically. And the world, they all know it. The conspiracy is don't tell them who they are and never let them know God, who their God is again. And certainly make sure you let them know that that law has been done away with so that they'll never get back to their heritage again. And people who are not the people can remain in the land of Israel. This is a deep conspiracy. We better all, not just the Israelites, Europeans. I hope you listen. Many of you know what I'm saying is true. You need to confess, to tell all of those like some Europeans are doing in Israel. Because they're honest Europeans that know this and they are going public on YouTube. They're saying, black people, wake up, please. You are the real people of the Bible. I'm not going to say, I want you to hear it from them. I'm going to go on with my presentation. Consequently, it is impossible to think that the laws in the greatest book of all time has been abolished. You mean the Creator, who we have determined that the law is the goat. The Torah is the goat. GOAT stands for the greatest book of all time, as we've said. That's, again, all of those prophets, called the Holy Scriptures. Why is it the Holy Scriptures, the Old Testament? Because God spoke in it. It says, thus saith the Lord God. He spoke. That's why it's holy. He spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai. No other constitution had God speak to people from heaven and they heard it. And you can't reject it. No Christian or Muslim or anyone else. The three greatest religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, because they're all founded on the very Bible that I'm speaking about. The Old Testament in the Bible, the first part of the Bible, the most important part of the Bible, the most significant part of the Bible is first the first five books, which is the Torah. And then it goes on and speaks about Joshua's history and the history during the days of the judges. And then the time when Samuel was the judge. And then after Samuel, he anointed Saul to be king. And then Saul was rejected by God and David. You can go on and read it. See, that's why I like the people who've read it, because they are astute and they know. They're saying right now, that man is speaking the truth. He's telling nothing but the truth. I didn't hear him say one thing yet that wasn't a fact. And you can go and verify everything that comes out of my mouth, because I'm only reiterating the Bible. I'm only speaking the word of God. I'm not giving you my opinions like everybody else's opinion. Do the world need our opinions now, or do it need the truth? I'm telling you, this is a truth-centered teaching. The conclusion, the Hebrew history recorded in the Old Testament, the Holy Scriptures is the foundation of so-called Judaic Christian civilization. And why you must conclude it? Because they say so. Testament in the Holy Scriptures is the foundation. That Old Testament. Testaments from Isaiah called Yeshayahu. Kesquiyahu called Ezekiel. He gives a testament. All of these different prophets, Micah, Habakkuk. Notice that's a big difference from Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Paul. That's a Greek, that's a whole nother piece. If Paul came to, let's say, let me get a let's see if I can get a character off the top of my mind. If he came to David and he said, my name is Paul, or that time when Joshua was standing there with his sword drawn and that angel was before him and he said, before he said, take off your shoes, you're on holy ground. If he said, my name is Paul, and he looked like a person from Europe, there might have been a whole nother ending to that episode that you read with any one of those men of God, because they were aware that everyone in their nation had a Hebrew name. Even when you go in Africa today, another proof that among the South Africans, you know how many people are named Daniel, Reuben, Benjamin. Go into Nigeria and see how many of these based out of the Bible. Go into West Indies and see how many people have names right out of the Bible. Jacob and Reuben and Gad, and sometimes they'll have the name like Yissaskar. Because we are Bible, we associate our existence all in what you call the colonial territories of enslavement. Those people have biblical names. That's why part of destroying them was they gave you a Christian name. That was part of the conspiracy to confuse you. And most of us have those names. James, John, Philip, all out of the New Testament, because they changed us up. That's why you don't know who you are, and that's why you act the way you are. Most of us is like, I don't want to be insulting, but this is how my teacher used to describe it. He would say a black man could be an Oreo cookie. What he meant by that? He was saying that a black person could be black on the outside and in their thinking white on the inside. You consider, was he right or wrong? I want to give you a few terms that might add a little humor to this subject and make it a little lighter. There's a book that I often read. It's called The New Dictionary of Thoughts. It's a encyclopedia of quotations. And you just look up the word law or any other word, and they'll have prominent people who might have made a wise statement on the subject. Here are a few that I'd like you to think about. Make it a little lighter in this presentation. What do other people think about the word law? Here's some people's thoughts among the Chinese proverbs. They say going to law is losing a cow for the sake of a cat. In other words, he's saying like some people spend a whole lot of money and they go to court, but when the judgment is made, they really at a loss. They didn't even gain anything by going to court. And so that's how the Chinese proverb speaks about the title of law. I don't want to offend lawyers. I have some in my own family. This one says laws should be like clothes. They should be made to fit the people they are meant to serve. That was Clarence Darrow. And that's very humorous. And it's true, though, in that statement. Each society has to have laws that relate to the people of that society. That's another thing about law. You know, there's some things that if you study and compare Israelite culture with Judaism, you'll see that some of the dishes that Jews eat, African Hebrews never even had that in their diet, like gefilte fish. That's Jewish. That ain't no none of those Israelites in Ghana, Nigeria that have been Hebrews. They don't get even the Orthodox Jews that wear those very thick hats, almost like the Russians with fur around them and the big coat with a fur. Imagine you walking through hot Israel desert with that on. We wear breezy clothes with robes and what have you. So the type of representation of the culture of Israel and Judaism is totally different from the culture in Africa and the way it was practiced by Hebrew Israelites. And you have to research to find the differences. And with again, all respect to Jewish people that live by the laws of God. We want the whole world to live by the laws of God. And we hope that they will also acknowledge that what we're saying is truth. Nothing wrong with other people converting to the Torah too. We hope that everybody on earth will do what God said and live by his laws. So please don't twist this around and try to make it as though we're offending Jews. No, we're not. We're just telling facts about the similarities and the differences. I have a book called Israelites and Jews, The Significant Difference, which also makes even in more detail this type of comparison between how they practice their religion and how Israelites today and in the past live our Israelite culture given to us by Moses, who received it from God Almighty on Mount Sinai. The trouble with law and government is lawyers, says Clarence Darrow. And you know, that's when they say like the lawyers, the trouble with law is government and government is the lawyers. In other words, the lawyers seem to be the one to make the money. You know, I don't want to say this, but also people have heard it, so I can say it. They consider lawyers with liars. Let me show you a difference in Western law and the Torah. In Western law, lawyers have a client and they tell their client, even if he says, I'm guilty, the lawyer says, never say that again. You are innocent, and I'm here to prove that you're innocent. So you plead not guilty. Even though I know and you know you are guilty. I'm here to get you off the hook. In our culture, no lawyer can do that. All of the lawyers work with one accord to determine a just and a righteous sentence. They are both defending all the lawyers and also investigating to find out where the wrong is on the parties that are involved. It's a different system than having someone who you know is guilty still going through a trial, money, then going and, as I said, spending time in jail and being fed and getting workout money to all this expenditure on TV to keep them housed. Some criminals, and all of us know this that have been in America's system, we know that some criminals find jail so good that they repeat and go back because they live better in jail than they do at home or on the streets. That's not how it should be. That's why these people that make jest of law, that's what they're pointing to. Civil laws, because there are many different types of laws. This person who writes is Pope Leo. He says something on civil laws. He says, so long as they are just, derived from the law of nature. Nature? I don't think that's a word. Nature don't make laws. God makes laws. So you saying derived from the law of God, their binding force, meaning who is the authority of divine law that can only be the creator, adds to sanction. Even the Pope knew that. Pope Leo knew that the God laws that are upheld by God, by the creator, they are divine. And he is the authority capable of enforcing them. In law, nothing is certain but the expense. Oh, that's a good one. Nothing, he says, this writer says, nothing is certain. You don't know what's going to happen, but one thing you can be sure of, you will be spending that money to pay that lawyer and them court costs. No people were ever better than their laws. That's a good one. It really opens your mind, though many have been worse. No people were ever better than their laws, though many people have been worse. And you can check history and see that that's a true statement. It says priestly. Assalamu alaikum. It's again a pleasure to be back with you and to start to wrap up this portion of the what I would term an introduction to the whole idea of the law not being abolished and not being done away with. So important to realize that fact. And so we are now looking at some precepts that's going to hopefully help to further solidify the thought that we're bringing here. And I want to take this opportunity to ask our readers, and we'll begin with Yivarek to read Micah, the 4th chapter, 5th verse, please. A precept that's going to help to solidify our statements that introduce this topic and to show that the law has always been a part of what we've been judged by the Creator by, and it explains the whole Bible, why we have been punished. In the 5th verse of the book of Jeremiah, called Jeremiah, we find these words. Okay? Tika, we're taking Mika. I'll go back to that verse. I'm way ahead of you. Tumshi. Mika.
For let all the peoples walk each one in the name of its God, but we will walk in the name of Jehovah our God forever and ever.
See, that's a powerful thought right there. Let them do what they want. I said that I don't have a problem with Christianity, and I want you to be clear on that. Christians, they want to believe their religion, that's fine. My problem is, why do you continue to force that false teaching on my people? I don't care if anybody wants to be a Muslim. It's a great religion for Arabs. If I wasn't an Israelite, I'll be honest, Islam is one of the religions and its teachings that seem to be closest to my teachings of the Torah. But I don't want any Muslim forcing Islam on my people because we have our own way of life. We have our own Torah. And it's only through the fact that we don't have our independence that you've put this religion on us. That's my problem. Anybody could be a Christian, or you can serve whoever you want, keep your days, and if you find that intelligent, it's okay with me. And if you find this truth that I'm sharing with you, and you're a European and you want to make the house of Yah your house of prayer, That's my teaching. The word of Yah is for everyone. But understand and correct this terrible error. You are continuing to enforce a lie on my people. Wouldn't you also, if you knew that your people were being deceived, being lied to, being tricked, and you had the knowledge to show them that? Wouldn't you show them if you were a Hispanic person? Wouldn't you do that if you were Japanese, Chinese, or Arab? Well, I told you, I'm not prejudiced against, I'm prejudiced for. I love my people. I love you too. If you are the nations, we are all one humanity. But charity begins at home. And certainly I have to help and do everything I can to uplift my people. When you're born in the earth, you're not born to a religion. You're in the earth to help a people. And then you're helping all humanity. But your first obligation is to your people, every people. If you come up with a cure for COVID-19 and it's a Russian and they can cure everybody in the earth of it, you have a duty to share it with all humanity. And every other country, the same thing. Already they're talking about we probably won't get the vaccine and other people will get it before us because they're not righteous. They're not living the way the Creator wants human beings to live. Let's read, if you would, the same book of Micah. Let's have our other reader, Yaakov, read the 6th chapter. Let's read it, just verse 8 alone. In fact, take it from the first verse, Yaakov, but you have to read it quickly, Bavakosha. Please.
Hear ye now what Yahweh saith. Arise, contend thou before the mountains, and let the hills hear thy voice. Hear, O ye mountains, Yahweh's controversy, ye enduring rocks, the foundations of the earth. For Yahweh have a controversy with his people, and he will plead with Israel. O my people, what have I done unto thee? Wherein have I wearied thee? Testify against me. For I brought thee up out of the land of Egypt and redeemed thee out of the house of bondage. And I sent before thee Moses and Aaron and Miriam. O my people, remember now what Balak king of Moab devised, and what Balaam the son of Beor answered him from Shittim unto Gilgal, that ye may know the righteous acts of Yahweh.
Take verse number 8 now, please. Verse 8 alone, Todah. Same chapter, 6th chapter of Micah, or Micah, some would say, and the 8th verse.
Okay. It had been told thee, O man, what is good, and what Yahweh doth require of thee, only to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy power.
That word humility, to love mercy, not mercy for you, love mercy for others as well. Do just by everyone. This is what he's requiring of us. Say again, he didn't say it had been told thee, O Israel. He said it had been told thee, O humanity. The Creator loves all people. He's just against the wicked. He don't hate nobody because of the color of their skin. This is an intelligent Creator that we serve. I'll ask our brother Yivarek, if he would, go and read for me in the book of Jeremiah now, verses 10, 16th chapter, verses 10 through 15. Verifying everything that we're saying. The Bible's consistent. Its message is consistent. When you get a contradiction in the Bible, the contradiction is between the Old Testament and the New Testament. Old Testament never contradicts itself. In the book of Jeremiah, again, we're going to the 16th chapter of the book of Jeremiah, and our reader, Yivarek, will be reading from verse 10. Todah. Tamshi.
And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt tell this people all these words, and they shall say one unto thee, wherefore hath Jehovah pronounced all this great evil against us? Or what is our iniquity? Or what is our sin that we have committed against Jehovah our power? Then thou shalt say unto them, because your fathers have forsaken me, saith Jehovah, and have walked after other gods, and have served them, and have worshipped them, and have forsaken me, and have not kept my law. And ye have done worse than your fathers. For, behold, ye walk everyone after the stubbornness of his evil heart, so that ye hearken not unto me. Therefore will I cast you out of this land into a land that ye have not known, neither ye nor your fathers. And there ye shall serve other gods day and night, for as much as I will show you no favor. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that it shall no more be said, as Jehovah liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But as Jehovah liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the countries whither ye have driven them. And I will bring them into their land that I gave unto their fathers.
Bring us back to our land that he gave to our fathers. Listen what the transgression was. They have served other gods and they have broke my law. That's what the whole Bible is speaking about. You can read it anywhere you want. I'm just going to show you that the prophets always referred us back to the law. The Greek writings changed it up. It does not change until you get to Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Paul's writings and letters. Epistles are nothing but letters. That's personal stuff. How do you make Paul personal letters a word that says, thus saith the Lord God? I'm telling you. You can do that and tell people that if you're Greek, I'm a Hebrew. We are Hebrews. We ain't accepting that nonsense. When we were on your plantations, you even had a law. This was one of your laws. Don't teach a black person how to read. Maybe that was the mistake. We can read now, and we can read and understand. And we're telling you that no, there's no law say kill and eat. The dietary laws are still intact. You can't eat swine and all that other stuff that goes against the laws in Deuteronomy, in Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy, where it speaks of the law, and in Genesis, where it speaks of dietary laws. It's a law we're talking about. So again, let's go again to see if this all makes any sense to Jeremiah. Go to the 5th chapter, and now alternate readers again taking place. In the book of Jeremiah, the 5th chapter, just one verse, the 19th verse is consistent. 5th verse of Jeremiah and the 19th verse. The 5th chapter of Jeremiah, Slika, and the 19th verse. It says, Yaakov.
And it shall come to pass, when ye shall say, wherefore hath Jehovah our power done all these things unto us? Then shalt thou say unto them, like as ye have forsaken me, and served strange gods in your land, so shall ye serve strangers in a land that is not yours.
That's what you mean when you say what goes around comes around. Listen to what he said. He said, why, ask them when they say, wherefore, why hath the Creator, our power, done all these things unto us? Then thou shalt say unto them, just like you serve strange gods, false gods in your land, the Baalim they were called. He said, so I'm going to cause you to serve strangers in a land that's not yours. Why you think, if that don't mean, if you think that's speaking to a Jewish person, you crazy. Jews left their land voluntarily out of Russia, Russian Jews, Germany, German Jews, England, English Jews, Spanish, Spanish Jews, Czechoslovakia, Czechoslovakian Jews, Poland, Polish Jews. That's who they are. They're Europeans. They're not no Israelites, but they're practicing the Torah. And let me tell you this, try to deny this one. Jews are one of the most blessed, prosperous people on this planet Earth. They live and ride to high places because they live by that Torah. Try to deny that one. Try to deny their gold and diamond districts. They run the industries called clothing and all of those things, the garment district in Manhattan, all over the world. Jews own it. And you got to respect their money. And you tell me they have Jews that have been President Disraeli, the Prime Minister of England. They're in every country. That's why they have an international power, because they could be anywhere in the world, still be Jewish and working for the land of Israel to keep them in the land. You don't understand what happened? They're united. They use our Torah to unite themselves as a people, even though they're not a people. Henry Ford called them the international Jew. That's what I just described. How can you be one people and you made up of all international nationalities? So that's like, in other words, you Russian, but you from everywhere in the world and we just call you Russian because that's the place. You don't know that's not everything begets after its own kind according to Yah. Chinese make Chinese people and they become a Chinese country. It's only when immigration, migration, and taking slaves into slavery that people started to be amongst other people. Originally, everybody was in their own country, multiplying and being fruitful and multiplying their own race of people. It took thousands of years for us to come to this now melting pot called America. That was never God's idea. That's a human being's idea. Take everybody in one place and look at this loving brotherhood we have in America. They love us so much, and it's so much democracy in America, everybody should want it. You're crazy. You think everybody in the world want to be like Americans? No, they don't. They know they love people that look like them if they're European, and they don't care if you're an Arab, a black man, because in their spectrum of color, once you're not Caucasian and non-white, you're black. Everybody gonna start to figure that out too in a little while. And so, again, I just want to thank the Creator for truth, because if I wouldn't have this truth, I would be messed up right now as a person, not knowing what to do, as so many of us are confused in America because we don't know what to do in these troublesome times. Don't know who to turn to. I'm telling you, remember these names. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When you pray, call on him. Never call on no man's name. He's not going to accept you. He said, thou shalt have no other powers, nor the gods before me. Call him and say, thou who art the maker of heaven and earth. He'll know who you're talking about. Say, thou the Holy One of Israel. He'll know who you're talking about. I'm telling you, you got to get this name, Yah. Rastafarians know it. You got to get that name. That's the true and living God. That's the true and living power that sent those thunders and lightnings that we just heard. Can man do that? Can man cause rain to drop? Can man tell an earthquake to take place? Can man, again, attack with floods and hurricanes and lightning and all kind of powers that you can't wind 200 miles an hour and up, and he could choose any speed he wants. He controls the whole universe. He makes everything. He owns everything. Everything serves him, the creator and maker of heaven and earth. Yehovah Zevaot is his name, the King of glory. Yehovah Zevaot, Psalm 24. Who then is the King of glory? Yehovah Zevaot, who Melech HaKavod. That's how it reads. They don't read in English. You got to understand, his name is there. That's why other people can try to slip that name, any name they want in there, but Yehovah knows his name. And you better remember this precept. My glory, Yah says, I will not give to another, nor my praise to graven images. You got to understand, he's not an image. He's not a man. And that's why people have a problem. Some people don't like what I'm saying. See, this is the thing about the truth. Nothing can stop it. Nothing can suppress it. There were always 7,000 that did not bend their knee nor bow to Baal in Israel, even in those times. There are people that are dedicated to Yah all over this earth. I hope you're listening and you're one of them. You're determined to try to live right, to try to be fair with everyone, especially yourself, to be a family person that loves and takes care of your family and do it loving and caring. That's what this is about. Yah's watching us. He's judging this whole planet. This is the judgment month. 9 days from now on Yom Kippur, it's by this very law that he's going to look at every one of our lives and look at last year to now and say, what have you done? Because I judge you according to your doings. And everything that's done, I've read it many times. Yehovah, I'll give you a verse here. In fact, I'm in the 14th chapter of Jeremiah, my last precept, and I'm just reading one verse. I'm going to read that verse. In fact, it's going to be read from the 20th verse to the 22nd. That's 3 verses. And Jeremiah, the 14th chapter, and the 20th to the 22nd verse. I want to thank the Holy One of Israel for blessing me and giving me the knowledge that he's given me, the understanding, the wisdom. I was born in Harlem, raised in Brooklyn, Brownsville. I didn't learn Hebrew till I was 20 years of age. I didn't know who I was until I was 20 years of age. It's the Creator. Nobody, no, I've been through all college and did master degree. They never told me I was an Israelite. Everything I'm telling you, Yahweh, the Creator, and the teachers that he led me to, many of them, they shared their knowledge with me. I'm sharing it with you. It's the truth, verifiable truth, truth that can be substantiated, like what I'm reading here in this portion to close out. Is the law done away with? No, it's not. It's never going to be abolished. We would all perish without law, without rules to tell us how to behave, who's right, who's wrong. You have all kinds of laws come up soon when people damage your property. You have private law. You have law that is called public law. It's going to be explained as we go further. You have other laws that are, again, considered moral laws. See, the Creator, he gave you moral laws too, teaching you how to be a right person. He don't only just judge you, he guides you. That's what the Torah does. It guides you to a path of righteousness. We call it, among the Hebrew community, Eitz Chaim, a tree of life. You read this book, it's like going to a tree that'll give you life. This is how you get it, through the Torah. Jeremiah, again, 14:20 says, we acknowledge, O Yahweh, our wickedness. Get ready to confess your wickedness on Yom Kippur. Even the iniquity of our fathers. Every day I say, Yahweh, tikaper avotenu lakatotehem beyamehem. Forgive our forefathers for their sin and their time. Forgive, for we have sinned against thee. Jeremiah said, we maluk lakmet old. We are filthy. We're not dirty. As a people, we're filthy. Do not contemn us for thy name's sake, for your name, because your name is on us. We're your people. When we're shamed, we shame in you. When we perish, your glory perish, your people, your chosen ones. Do not dishonor the throne of your glory. Yahweh, remember, break not thy covenant with us. Don't break your law with us. We broke it, but don't you break it with us. That's why we still have the covenant, because he did not break it. And he promised, I'm going to restore this covenant. When I clean you up through the punishment, just like going to jail, we're being here to be rehabilitated. Are you being rehabilitated? Are you being changed to a better civil law-abiding citizen? That's why people go to jail. They broke the law and they have to come out law-abiding. You went into captivity. You got to come out law-abiding the Torah, abiding the Creator's laws. And ending out it says, are there any among the vanities of the nations that can cause rain? Can any of your gods cause rain, hurricanes, and can strike lightning down? No. Or can the heavens give showers according to their word? No, the Creator controls that. Art not thou he, O Yahweh, our power, that we do not wait for thee? Do we not wait for Yah? Isn't that the one, only one that can save us? And look how it ends out. It says, for thou hast made all things. He made everything. You, me, sun, moon, stars, everything. Trees with fruit on them for us. All the things in the ocean and the ocean itself. Breathe the breath of life into us. And that's why we're living, because he didn't take that breath from us. I hope and pray that Israelites in particular, who've been without knowledge of themselves for countless generations, will not only understand these words, but I hope they'll touch your soul.
When you read the Bible, you should tremble and feel bumps on your body. You should be touched deeply by the word of the Most High. I hope and pray that he touch your soul, Israel, and wake you from this deep sleep, this tardema that he's put on our people. Only a remnant shall return. I hope you'll wake up and be a part of those that are part of the saints that will be marching back into the Holy Land. When the saints go marching in, we're gathering, we're going home. It's prophecy. No one on this earth can stop it. Hallelujah. All praise, all honor, and all glory to the Holy One of Israel. May he fill this earth with the knowledge of his glory. Fill this earth with the knowledge of his glory, like the waters cover the seas. That's my mission, to fill this earth with his glory, to let everyone on earth know that there's no being greater than the maker of heaven and earth. No being to be honored like the Most High. And you cannot say the Most Highs. There's no such thing, indicating Yehovah Eloheinu, Yehovah Echad. Yehovah is one. He's the maker of heaven and earth. He's the only power, and he controls all things because he made everything, and everything serves him. Toda Rabbah for your attention. May these words not fall on deaf ears.
And they should put my name upon the children of Israel, and I bless them. Sing it.
Famidin tu among Israel so Namidia Mishirawo Wa famidin tu among Israel so Namidia Mishirawo